Ubiquitous and incessant disinformation regarding our guns from the media, Democrat politicians, and intentionally subversive elements. Is that redundant? We will persevere to expose and overcome. We intend to realize these goals through our political action. And yes, tonight we'll talk about guns. We, the RLC, consider as a fundamental part of our mission to preserve the sovereignty and freedoms of the United States of America. We have and hold an innate love for our country, America the beautiful, with liberty and justice for all. We accept our duty to maintain America's lofty station among nations, both extant and future. In summary, RLC members are for pro-life, family, constitutional government, a military second to none, and a deep reverence for our Judeo-Christian culture. Therefore, our success will be commensurate with the quality, dedication, and strength of our membership. I invite everyone of good faith to consider becoming an RLC member. Working together towards our goals, we can thus accomplish the things it will require to make America great again. Remaining humble, I submit these comments only for the glory of God. All please rise for the invocation of prayer by Mrs. Lisa Rhodey, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mr. Peter Spear.
Will you please bow your head as I open our time with a moment of prayer? Eternal Father, loving God, creator of everything and author of grace everlasting, we invite your presence upon our gathering today. May we find during our time together a common good, a greater purpose, and many productive means to bring glory to you. May we be united in heart and mind as we lift our prayer into a realm we cannot see. We seek your guidance for the realm in which we live, with its daily challenges to our moral trajectory as a nation, assaults upon which we know to be right, ridiculed for our belief that life is every bit as precious in the elderly as in the unborn, and relentless threats chipping away at the Constitution. Yet we hold it dear because we believe the Founding Fathers had wisdom, Lord, that came from you. We trust, Father, that your word is true when you said, everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist has been established by God. Romans chapter 13, verse 1. Therefore, let us hold our heads high and do your will gladly, as you have said in teaching us how to pray, that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Be it our aim and our hope. You remind us to give thanks for our daily bread, and we ask your blessing upon the food we will receive. Bless the hands which prepared it. Bless our conversation with goodness worthy of your hearing. Bless our bodies and strengthen us for the work you have prepared for each of us to do. When we see mountains beyond our ability, Lord, help us to remember your spoken word through your prophet Zechariah. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord Almighty. Zechariah chapter 4, verse 6. You remind us that mighty mountains will become as level ground. You take the foundation and complete what you begin, aligned with your truth. You remind us not to despise the day of small beginnings, as you are the same God who can part any sea, still any storm, and multiply what little we can supply. We give thanks for the callings upon our lives, and may we each welcome any task you give, doing it in your strength and with all gladness. You are good, Lord, and we thank you for remembering this nation and for preserving the freedom we have to seek you in life and in prayer. Bless us now, I pray, honoring your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
people here who have served the United States Army, Navy, Air Force, or other form of government, national government, on active duty, and are now retired or still on active duty, please remember to offer this Pledge of Allegiance from the hand salute. I pledge
I
allegiance
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is really an honor and a privilege for me to introduce Jeannie Ives, Representative Jeannie Ives. I called Jeannie yesterday and I said, is there anything you would like me to say about you that I don't already know about you? And she said, make it up. I can tell you that Jeannie Ives is a heroine of mine. She's a West Point graduate, a mother, a wife, an elected representative who believes that faith-based and platform of her party are to be defended and voted on correctly, no matter what the cost. Jeannie is, I am proud to know Jeannie from my Right to Life experience. She has always been 100% vote on everything that the RALC holds true. She is a platform Republican and an endangered species in this day and age. However, she's a young endangered species, so there's actually time for her to proliferate and to garner more. So I'm not going to go into any more other than to say thank you, Jeannie, for the sacrifices you made for our country. Thank you, Jeannie, for the vote and the protection of unborn children consistently. Thank you for being honest in every vote you have. This is a faith-based woman, and her life revolves around her faith-based principles. So I give you Jeannie Ives.
Well, that was just about the nicest introduction I've ever received, Bonnie. I really appreciate it. And I tell you what, it is such a pleasure to be back with you, back with conservatives once again, because I can't find hardly any conservatives down in Springfield that also say that they're a Republican. So I'm thrilled to be back here with you, and I thank you again. I remember being here December 13th. A little bit different weather, so it's good to be back with you, and the drive up here was much easier, much nicer today than back in December. But I'll tell you what, you all helped kick off a campaign, and a campaign that we fought hard for our conservative values, and a campaign that we proved that we will not be unheard. Our voices will rise up. We will hold people accountable who don't comply with what our party says our platform is. But for you, this campaign would have been nowhere. So I applaud you, the Republican Assembly of Lake County, for everything that you did early on to bring this campaign to the point on March 20th, where we garnered, Let's not forget where we came to. We came to almost 342,000 votes. We garnered, well over 48% of the vote. And that says something. And we sent a message that day. Now, our conservative revolt against the political ruling class that actually abides in both parties just fell a little bit short, but that's okay. That's okay. The fact that we took on the challenge says more about who we are and what we will stand for and what we're going to do than a small loss on one spring day. It says that we are not going to let you stamp on our principles without some sort of retribution, without being held accountable. Now we come together to some degree, or at least you would hope that we would come together to fight the good fight that we need to in the state of Illinois. But after just going through the last 4 weeks in May of spring session and watching how things unfolded, I gotta tell you, I'm not filled with a lot of optimism for the state of Illinois. I'm actually a little bit pessimistic. And I'm not pessimistic because I know who the Democrats are. I'm pessimistic because I know who the Republicans are. And I say that with great sincerity. How is it that you have a Republican state eight Republican state senators vote for the ERA amendment? How is it that you have 10 Republican state House members vote for the ERA amendment? How is it that you have leadership take votes on bad gun bills? How is it, more importantly, do you have them all vote for a budget that is blatantly unbalanced and then go to the media and talk about the huge bipartisan compromise that they came to? So my frustration lies not with the Democrats. We know who they are. We've been watching them a long time. We've watched them destroy the state of Illinois, a state that we all love, a state where we've raised our families, a state that was not my home state, but a state that 4 out of the 6 of us siblings that grew up in South Dakota came to in the early 1990s for opportunity. So we watch as they destroyed the state, and then we watch as Republicans continue to just play their game rather than play our game. So for me, it's great to be with fellow conservatives tonight. And I hate to bring you such news, but I can't sugarcoat. I can't sugarcoat an unbalanced budget that didn't take care of our enormous problems. I can't do that. I came here to tell the truth. Now, I am optimistic also. And here's why I'm optimistic. Because I've met the new crop of candidates that are coming forward to take the reins in the State House, and I am enthused about them, and I'm heartened by their conservative principles, and I'm heartened by their fight that they have in them, and I'm heartened by every time that I talk to them, the fact that they intend to stand up for conservatives and stand up for Republicans. So I am a little bit optimistic. And I'm also optimistic because you can only defy economics for so long before it catches up to you. And so as you see in California, how their election on Tuesday just worked out, where you did not have a blue wave, actually. You did actually have some Republicans. So I used to say, you know what, I feel like Illinois is going to go the way of California. Well, after Tuesday, I'm not going to say Illinois is going to go the way of California, because I see a revival in California. I don't see that yet in Illinois, but California should give us hope. California should give us hope, because honestly, our values are certainly the principles, I believe, of the majority of Illinoisans and the majority of those in the United States. We absolutely live, though, in a corrupt political culture that we have got to overcome. We're going to have fight tooth and nail. So don't let anybody fake you out about where Illinois stands. Our problems are enormous. You sit here in Lake County, obviously, where the effective tax rate approaches 5%, which is nearly 5 times the national average. We know this. We know that you can go over to Zion in a $250,000 home. You're going to pay $12,500 in taxes. And a $250,000 home in Nashville, Tennessee would only pay $1,500. We know these are the statistics for your area. And so does everybody else. And so Illinois can't wait long. We cannot wait long before we have to overcome all of these hurdles to keep our economy going strong. So that's my cell phone, sorry, I apologize for that. But so I gotta sit here and I gotta tell you that business got punished in the spring session. They got no reforms, they got nothing done, and all of us got a higher 32% tax increase. All of us last year. So where do we go from here? Where's our Ronald Reagan? Where's our Scott Walker? It's not embodied in any of the leadership currently serving in prominent positions in the state of Illinois. It's nowhere to be found. We don't have a Ronald Reagan amongst us. We don't have an Abe Lincoln amongst us. We don't. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do about it? That's a question that we all have to put to ourselves. What are we going to do about it?
You're the closest we come.
I don't have that answer. I don't have that answer, but here's what I know. I know that leadership matters, and we have to turn out our leadership. And fortunately, because of the sexual harassment issues going around down in Springfield, Madigan's leadership is now finally threatened. Finally threatened. Woo!
Yeah.
So the last day of session, I stood up with a lady who came forward to accuse Lou Lang, longtime Madigan right-hand man, longtime State House representative. And I stood next to her as she explained what she had gone through in terms of sexual harassment and abuse down in Springfield. And Lou Lang, he had to resign from his leadership position. And then sure enough, Sherry Garrett came forward this week. Now, Miss Garrett is an amazing woman. She helps run things on the House floor. She's very unassuming, professional, of mild demeanor. And the things that she explained that were said to her, and the conversations that she had, and the way that she was treated by the top Democrat leadership says a lot about who the Democrats are. So we have to relentlessly pursue them until they are out of office. And if this is part of why they're out of office, then this is why they should be put out of office. Because I tell you, if you're going to be wrong about something like this, you're going to be wrong about everything, how you treat other people in every other capacity of your work. This is endemic of the culture down there and who they are as leaders. Make no mistake about it. This goes way past sexual harassment. This tells you who these people are. You see, they've held power for so long, they've forgotten who they serve. And they've held power for so long that they think there's nothing they can't do that anybody can get to at them for. And so that's who we're dealing with. But fortunately, women are coming forward, holding them to account, and so we have to continue that pressure as well. And I'm proud to have been a leader on that front, and I am proud to continue to call for their resignations. And if this is their undoing, so be it. They should be all out of office for what they've done to these women, what they've done to the taxpayer, what they've done to businesses. And so we have a glimmer of hope here. We do have a glimmer of hope, but the hope fades if we as Republicans don't get our act together. If we don't get more Republican assemblies like we have in Lake County that are going to stand up for our principles and fight tooth and nail. So I very much appreciate all the hard work. I want to thank everybody. Do you know, we drove over 22,000 miles on our campaign. We had over 3,500 individual donors in the span of four and a half months. 3,500 individual donors. I got cards and letters and prayer cards and small little notes of some advice, many of them prayers. And I've collected all those up. And if you've written me a note, if you donate to my campaign and we haven't gotten back to you, rest assured we are in the process of still going through all of those notes, all of the donations. We had a very busy spring and we will get to you. But I want to tell you how much I appreciate you all standing up beside me. You cannot do this without a team. You can't do it without people backing you. And for that, I'm very, very grateful. I see some of my most ardent supporters here. Joe Patak is here. I saw him. Dan Patlak. Dan was by my side many a time, press conferences and beyond. And I appreciate everything that you've done for us and for the conservative movement in the state of Illinois. So we got to keep the pressure up. We can do this. I do like to tell my little Ronald Reagan story about leadership, though. I tell you, so I went to West Point in 1983, and I went there knowing full well what Ronald Reagan as president was all about. He was all about peace through strength. And so I went there understanding that, you know, it was a Cold War time, the Soviets still reigned, we had the nuclear threat. I mean, unfortunately, our students today grow up with this entire threat of guns in the school. Well, back when we were growing up, we grew up with the threat of a nuclear weapon exploding. I think you all remember that. So I go through West Point, and I graduate from West Point. I get stationed in Germany as my first duty assignment. And there was a relentless approach to handling the Soviets at that stage. We're still doing maneuvers over in Germany. We are, at that time, working on nuclear surety programs. In fact, I was the platoon leader for the only platoon that was authorized to haul any sort of nuclear material around West Germany. That was my first platoon assignment. So this was very real to us. And but for folks like Ronald Reagan going there and making a speech and telling Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall, but for his leadership, it would not have been that in 1989 I actually saw the fruition of that leadership when the wall came down. So you see, when you just say words, nothing happens. When you say the words, peace through strength, and you take the action, then things occur. And so Ronald Reagan, what a hero. What a hero. He wouldn't recognize California, where he came from, and he wouldn't recognize Illinois, where he grew up. But he is a hero. He is a guiding force for all of us to look forward in the future. And he is an example of where leadership can get the job done. So we're looking for conservative leaders to get the job done in the state of Illinois, and I hope you'll join me in that mission. Thank you.
In recognition of all of the work you've done, we now have the Colonel Raymond S. True Founders Award. Now, for those people that don't know about Colonel True, he rose to the rank of full colonel in the Air Force, flying over 6,000 hours, including Vietnam. And in 2001, he was elected chairman of the RALC. He served on many committees, ad hoc things. He served, in fact, on the platform committee for the Republican Party for this state in 2004 and in 2008 on the platform that many of the Republican people that you just talked about ignore. So, and under Colonel True, the RALC became a regional power. And so, you sound just like something that he would have loved. So here you are, the first award to you.
What an honor. Thank you all. I treasure this. I will treasure this forever. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And now it's my duty to do the recognition of all the elected officials on that. And usually this is done by following the Mark Shaw rule book. Well, I don't do rule books. So, the first thing is I want to recognize all our veterans, please. And then the next group of heroes is the precinct committeemen. So all the precinct committeemen, please. Okay, now comes the other people. Okay. Representing Dan Bukowski, our state senator, is Bonnie Quirk. We have our future Congressman Doug Bennett here.
Doug!
Mike Nierheim. Dr. Howard Cooper. Colonel Craig Wilcox. Our good County Board Member Jeff Werfel, he's here. And I did, she's not on my list, but I did see Judy Martini. She's here too. Sure. Okay. Larry Felby from the League Confederation. And for Ken, I'm starting our new state rep to be, Chris Bean is here for him. And Karen Feldman. Dan Patlock from Cook County. David Stallman. And of course, we can't forget Carla, because she's very important to us. They have a fair election. And we have to win that office, because we can't have them get control of that. Okay, and for the state senator, you're in his district right now, CJ Lee, he's here. And now we get to the last of them, Mark Shaw, the county chairman. Oh, I didn't forget him. He's last on the list. You know, you go from the real workers up to the no, he is my congressman, and I'm glad he's here. I hope you paid, right? Okay.
I'll make the second.
Okay, and that is it, because I just had
Sheriff Curran.
Oh, he wasn't on the list. You didn't sign in, Sheriff. I'm sorry. That's good, because now we have dinner, right, folks? Hey, dinner.